What if you were the first human in history? Your heart is pounding, not from fear, from something older than fear. You are standing on a ridge in East Africa, and the wind carries a smell no human nose has ever known, because there has never been a human nose before this moment. You are it, the first one. And in the next few minutes, you're going to live through 200,000 years of human history, compressed into a single terrifying, beautiful journey. This is what it actually felt like to be the first version of us. Before we go further, here's what you're about to experience. We're not talking about dinosaurs or the Big Bang or some abstract timeline in a textbook. We're talking about the moment your species, Homo sapiens, first opened its eyes and looked at the world with a brain wired exactly like yours. Same fears, same curiosity, same capacity for love, for panic, for wonder. The only difference between you and that first human is time, and maybe a smartphone. So let's go back, way back, and find out what it actually took to survive being human number one, the first spark. You open your eyes on the savanna of what scientists now call the Great Rift Valley, somewhere in modern-day Ethiopia or Kenya, roughly 300,000 years ago. Fossil evidence from a site called Jebel Irhoud in Morocco pushed the known origin of Homo sapiens back further than anyone expected. And genetic studies suggest our species emerged gradually, not in one clean moment, but through populations scattered across Africa, slowly becoming us. But for the sake of this story, let's say you're the tipping point, the first fully modern mind. Your body looks almost exactly like yours does today. Same brain size, roughly 1,300 cubic centimeters, capable of language, planning, art, and deep emotional bonds. Your ancestors, the Homo erectus and Homo heidelbergensis before you, had smaller brains and simpler tools. You are different. You can imagine things that don't exist yet. You can picture tomorrow, and that single ability is about to change everything. Survival mode. The sun is brutal. There's no shade except a lone acacia tree 50 meters away, and your skin, unprotected by clothing, is already burning. You have no idea what UV radiation is, but your body knows. Pain is the only teacher you have. Food is not something you order. It's something you fight for, chase, dig up, or steal from an animal that's faster and stronger than you. Your stomach growls constantly. Because unlike modern humans who eat 3 meals without thinking twice, you might go 2 or 3 days without a single bite. Here's a fact that surprises most people. Early humans spent nearly 90% of their waking hours searching for food or water. Compare that to today, where the average person spends less than 1 hour a day preparing meals. You are not living, you are surviving minute to minute, and one wrong decision means you don't wake up tomorrow. A rustling sound comes from the tall grass nearby. Every muscle in your body freezes. It could be wind, it could be a leopard. At this point in history, roughly 1 in 4 early humans dies from predator attacks or violent encounters before reaching adulthood. Lions, hyenas, and crocodiles are not distant nature documentary threats. They are your daily reality. You grab the sharpest rock nearby, not because you were taught to, but because something inside you, some ancient instinct passed down through millions of years of evolution, tells you sharp equals safety. Fire. Weeks pass. You've survived so far, mostly through luck and raw instinct. Then, one afternoon, lightning strikes a dry patch of brush nearby, and something extraordinary happens. Flames erupt, and instead of running, something inside you pauses. You watch. You're terrified. But you're also fascinated. This moment right here might be one of the most important turning points in human history. Archaeological evidence from sites like Wonderwork Cave in South Africa suggests early humans were using fire as far back as 1 million years ago. But true mastery, the ability to create and control it, likely developed gradually over hundreds of thousands of years. You reach toward the dying embers the next morning. It's still warm. You feed it small twigs, the way you'd feed a wounded animal hoping it survives. And it does. Fire changes everything. It keeps predators away at night. It allows you to cook meat, which unlocks significantly more calories and protein than eating it raw, fueling the growth of your already impressive brain. Some anthropologists argue that cooking food was one of the key catalysts that allowed human brains to grow larger while our digestive system shrank, because we no longer needed enormous guts to break down raw, tough food. And there's something else fire gives you that's just as powerful as calories: light. For the first time, night isn't just darkness and danger. It's a space where you and others can sit together, share sounds, and slowly begin to understand each other. Because right now you are not alone. Connection. A small group finds you, maybe 6 or 7 others, roughly your age, some older. This is critical because a lone human in prehistoric Africa has almost no chance of survival long term. Humans are not the strongest, fastest, or most physically dangerous animals on the savanna. Our superpower has always been cooperation. You don't have language yet, not the way you know it. Communication starts with gestures, grunts, and facial expressions, similar to how chimpanzees and other primates communicate today. But slowly, sounds start attaching themselves to meanings. A specific noise for danger, another for food, another for water. Linguists estimate that complex language, the kind capable of expressing abstract ideas, may have developed somewhere between 100,000 and 50,000 years ago. Though the debate among scientists is still fierce, some believe the capacity existed earlier, but the true explosion of symbolic thinking, the kind that leads to art, storytelling, and eventually civilization, happens later. For now, your group survives through trust. You share food. You warn each other. When someone is sick, you don't abandon them, and this alone separates you from almost every other species on Earth. Cooperation, not aggression, is what allowed Homo sapiens to outlast the Neanderthals, the Denisovans, and every other human species that once shared this planet with us. Yes, other humans, not alone. Here's something that blows most people's minds. At this point in history, Homo sapiens was not the only human species walking the Earth. Neanderthals were thriving across Europe and parts of Asia. Denisovans occupied regions in Siberia and East Asia. Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit due to its small size, lived on the island of Flores in Indonesia. You are simply one branch on a much bigger, stranger tree. DNA evidence confirms that modern humans outside Africa carry between 1% and 4% Neanderthal DNA, meaning at some point, your species and theirs didn't just cross paths, they interbred. Some scientists even believe certain immune system genes we still carry today came directly from Neanderthals, helping early humans survive diseases in unfamiliar environments. But coexistence eventually turned into replacement. Within a few thousand years of modern humans reaching Europe, Neanderthals vanished. The reasons are still debated. Climate change, competition for resources, disease, or simply being outcompeted by a more socially connected, more adaptable species. It's a strange thing to sit with. Being human today means being the last surviving branch of what was once a much wider family of human species. The hunt. Your group is hungry again, really hungry. Roots and berries only go so far, and everyone knows what needs to happen next. The hunt begins. You're not chasing an antelope alone. You're doing something almost no other predator on Earth does, coordinating a group strategy. Some of you circle wide to cut off escape routes. Others drive the animal forward. This level of planning requires memory, communication, and trust. 3 things that separate humans from nearly every other hunting species. Persistence hunting is one theory anthropologists point to as one of humanity's earliest survival advantages. Unlike cheetahs, who are explosively fast but exhaust quickly, humans can sweat, allowing us to cool down while running, something most 4-legged predators cannot do efficiently. Early humans could literally run prey to the point of exhaustion over several hours, sometimes covering 20 or more kilometers in a single hunt. The chase is brutal. Your lungs burn, your legs cramp, but adrenaline pushes you forward because failure means your entire group goes hungry tonight. Finally, the animal collapses from exhaustion. The kill isn't glamorous. It's raw, physical, and emotional. But this single antelope could provide enough protein and fat to sustain your entire group for days. Tonight, for the first time in a while, no one goes to sleep hungry. Danger never sleeps. Just when things start feeling stable, disaster strikes. A flash flood tears through your camp during the night, or maybe it's disease, spreading quickly through close contact, something as simple as a common cold today, but potentially lethal with zero medical knowledge, zero antibiotics, and zero understanding of germs. Life expectancy during this era is brutally short. Estimates suggest early Homo sapiens had an average life expectancy somewhere between 25 and 35 years, though this doesn't mean people didn't live longer. It means infant mortality was catastrophically high, dragging the average down. If you survived childhood, your chances of reaching your 40s or even 50s increased significantly. Every day is a dice roll. A small cut could become fatally infected. Childbirth was one of the leading causes of death for women, with no epidurals, no doctors, no sterile tools. And yet, despite all this, your species kept pushing forward, generation after generation, slowly refining tools, knowledge, and survival techniques. Every skill you learn today, you pass down. Every mistake you survive becomes a lesson for someone else. This is how humanity's first real technology is passed on, not through books, but through memory and storytelling. Migration. Years pass. Your group has grown. Resources around your original territory become scarce, and something ancient inside you begins pulling you toward the horizon. Genetic and archaeological evidence suggests that modern humans began migrating out of Africa in significant waves starting around 70,000 to 60,000 years ago, although earlier, smaller migrations likely occurred and didn't survive long term. This journey isn't a simple walk. It spans thousands of years and multiple generations. Your descendants will cross into the Middle East, then into Asia, eventually reaching as far as Australia by boat, roughly 65,000 years ago. An incredible feat considering they had no metal tools, no written navigation systems, just raw courage and observation of stars, currents, and wind patterns. Other groups head north into Europe, adapting to freezing temperatures, encountering Neanderthals, and slowly developing lighter skin tones over thousands of years as a biological adaptation to weaker sunlight, allowing better vitamin D absorption. Every environment reshapes your descendants. Body types shift, skin tones diversify, languages splinter into thousands of unique dialects. But despite these surface-level differences, every single human on Earth today traces back to this same starting point, the same origin story, the same struggle for survival. Racial and ethnic differences we see today are, biologically speaking, remarkably recent adaptations layered on top of an almost identical genetic foundation. The spark of imagination. Something changes around 50,000 to 40,000 years ago. Archaeologists call it the Upper Paleolithic Revolution, referring to a dramatic explosion in symbolic thinking. Cave paintings appear in places like Chauvet in France and Sulawesi in Indonesia. Some of these paintings depicting hunting scenes and handprints date back over 40,000 years. Jewelry made from shells and bones start appearing at burial sites. Burial itself becomes intentional, with bodies placed carefully, sometimes alongside tools or flowers, suggesting early humans developed complex emotional responses to death, perhaps even early spiritual beliefs. This is where your ancestors stop being simply survival machines and start becoming something more. Storytellers, artists, dreamers. Music enters the picture too. Bone flutes discovered in Germany date back roughly 40,000 years, meaning humans were creating melodies tens of thousands of years before written history even existed. Why does this matter so much? Because it marks the birth of culture. The moment humans started creating things that had no direct survival purpose, purely for meaning, beauty, or connection, is the moment we became truly human in the way we understand ourselves today. The long road to civilization. Thousands of years continue to pass. Your descendants refine hunting tools, develop better shelters, and start forming larger, more complex social groups. Roughly 12,000 years ago, something revolutionary begins in regions like the Fertile Crescent, modern-day Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. Agriculture. Instead of constantly chasing food, humans start growing it. Wheat, barley, and legumes are cultivated deliberately for the first time. This shift, often called the Neolithic Revolution, is arguably more transformative than fire itself because it allows humans to settle permanently instead of wandering endlessly in search of resources. Permanent settlements lead to population growth. Population growth leads to specialization, meaning not everyone needs to hunt or farm anymore. Some become builders, some become healers, some become leaders, and from these small farming villages over thousands of years, cities emerge. Then writing, then empires, all of it, every single piece of modern civilization traces back to a single terrified human standing on a savanna, learning to survive one day at a time. What this means for you. Here's the part that should genuinely give you chills. Every conflict you've ever felt, every instinct to protect the people you love, every fear of the dark, every moment of curiosity when you see fire flicker or hear a strange sound at night, all of it is inherited directly from that first human. Your ability to cooperate with strangers, something almost no other species does at scale, comes from those early survival groups who learned that trust meant survival. Your fear of predators lurking in shadows isn't irrational. It's evolutionary memory, embedded so deeply that even in a world with security systems and locked doors, part of your brain still checks the corners of the room at night. And your desire to create, to tell stories, to make art, to leave something behind, comes from those same ancestors who painted animals on cave walls tens of thousands of years before anyone could explain why it mattered. You are not disconnected from that first human. You are the continuation of their story. Full circle. Standing here today in a world of skyscrapers, smartphones, and instant communication, it's almost impossible to imagine that just a few 100,000 years ago, your entire species began as a small, vulnerable group fighting to survive one sunrise at a time. No weapons stronger than sharpened rocks. No shelter besides caves and makeshift huts. No guarantee that tomorrow would come, and yet here you are. Every technological leap, every civilization that ever rose and fell, every war, every invention, every love story, every act of kindness between strangers, all of it exists because that first spark of human consciousness refused to give up. The same resilience that helped your ancestors survive lions on an open savanna is the exact same resilience running through your veins right now. You were never just a random accident of biology. You are the result of thousands of generations who fought, adapted, and pushed forward against odds that should have wiped out your entire species dozens of times over. And somehow, against every possible obstacle, that first spark of humanity never went out. It became you.